So you talk about building out all these assets that's going to help me free up my time. But if I don't have time at the moment, how am I going to dedicate time to actually putting in the effort needed to develop these assets?
I used to hold the argument of I have no time, I have no time. And one of the maxims that we have in the Dent community is you get what you pitch for and you're always pitching. And I was pitching, I have no time, I have no time, I have no time, I have no time. And lo and behold, I had no time. And I had this perception that I had no time. Now, that became my reality, as it has become many people's kind of reality, because we love these little high-tech rationalizations that kind of keep us safe. But like, assuming it's a legit question, the first thing to realize is consistency beats intensity. Everyone can find an hour a day. Essentially what I'm saying is you just need to make it happen. There's no magical kumbaya unicorn. If I download this app, suddenly I'm going to get this time. The thing to realize is that the current way you're deploying time, if it's got you to a point where you've still got pretty much a micro business, you can't afford team pretty much, or barely, can't afford to pay yourself a decent wage after all of your expenses, you've got to recognize that that your choices around time are fundamentally flawed. We all have a hierarchy of priorities. And there was this great tweet by Nike that rattled me when I read it once, which is you don't lack time, you lack priorities. What I recommend all of our clients do, and what I recommend everybody does, is dedicate an hour a day. Now, if you feel like you don't have an hour a day, I promise you do. If you were to organize everything you do in a day, from the most high value activity to the low value activity, you will find an hour of low value activity that you could cull for 6 months. Now, this doesn't have to be forever, but it's about getting back in front of the 8 ball. And if you were to deploy that hour a day to developing assets, and again, an asset is anything that allows you to achieve an outcome better, faster, or cheaper. So upgrading from a pocket knife to an axe, from an axe to a chainsaw, they all do a similar thing, but, to a far different degree of efficiency in time. It's the same in business. And so if you just dedicate an hour a day every day to building stuff in your business, you will get to the point where those assets start to do the work that was otherwise being compensated for by your time. And so you'll start to accumulate time. One of the problems I see is people start building out, let's say, marketing. Marketing is a big one. So let's marketing and sales. So let's say you start developing sales and marketing assets. You start producing content, video content. Let's say you start producing, an audio series or a podcast, and you put some effort into those assets, which are evergreen, last forever, and will be around in perpetuity. So people can be consuming those and getting interested in what you do while you sleep. And then all of a sudden, people start showing up pre-sold, inbound, wanting what you've got. By investing in developing that asset, you've saved yourself the time of sales and marketing. The problem is if you don't immediately replace that newfound time with more high-value assets to develop, you'll end up just naturally accumulating low-value stuff to do. So bottom line, find yourself a routine or schedule and some kind of mechanism for allowing you to eke out another hour a day, whether that's just reorganizing your current priorities or just getting up an hour earlier. Jen Dugard, one of our clients, now sits on the board of, she's a fitness trainer, sits on the board of the Australian Fitness Association. Before she wrote her book, she was in the park group training mums at 6 a.m. So she's like, well, I just got to get up at 4:30, smash out an hour to write my book, and then go and train in the park. I can do anything for 4 months, was her mindset. Like, I've got a comfortable home. I've got central heating. I choose to be a personal trainer. I choose to be in the park training my women in the morning. I can do this. And if the production of that asset isn't just going to change my business, it's going to change my life, well, then everyone's just got to make their own decision that is that time worth it. There's this gun to your head kind of analogy, which is sort of shocking, but if someone put a gun to your head, could you find an extra hour a day? If someone put a gun to your head and you had to find an hour a day to watch Netflix, could you do it? Of course. But to find an hour a day to build your business, excuses. So the number one action step would be this. Pick an hour in your calendar, and you know how you can set your calendar to just repeat? Put it on repeat. Sell it to your family. because you got kids, right? So sell it to your family. This hour is my hour. So it's got to be an hour where you're not feeding the kids, you're not supporting your partner, and it's just an hour. So if that means I get up before them because when my daughter gets up, I want to play with her, etc. That hour is in my diary. It is non-negotiable. The moment that happens, the rest of my week organically recalibrates itself around that must-have. So if that becomes the must-have, I mean, yeah, you can make a to-do list and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is if you just consider that a must, you will compress everything else around that time. It's called Parkinson's law, which is work will be constrained to the amount of time that you give it, right? If you give yourself a whole week to do shit, it'll take yourself a week. If you give yourself a day, it'll take a day. If you give yourself 4 hours, it'll take 4 hours, which was the argument behind Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, right? Now, he wasn't being literal that you don't do anything else, but he's saying you do the vast majority of everything you need to do in that 4 hours, and then you reverse engineer what's stopping me from being able to do that, and you start working on solving those problems.